So after playing the Enclave and Old World Blues, I was curious about all the other content going on in the mod. I had to do some research in the archives to figure out what decent nations to play because, I won't lie, there's a lot of mid here in all this fanon content. Then I saw an interesting nation, the Chained Choir. People were hyping it up, so I figured I'd strap in for some peek, and I will say it's definitely one of the playthroughs I've done in HOI4. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, what even is the Chained Choir? Well, the lore is that they are survivors of medical experiments by the US government trying to develop psychic powers and immortality in test subjects. Enter V. No, not that one. V was taken as a child for these experiments and gets her name from the Roman numeral for 5. She was the first successful test subject, with dozens more following her. When the nukes started dropping, V and the other test subjects revolted, killing all the doctors in the facility to take it over. There were only around 60 of them by the end, and they knew they couldn't survive by themselves, so they used their psychic powers to find other survivors and convince them to give up their free will and serve the choir. Despite being immortal though, they can be killed by conventional means. They couldn't exactly just chill on the remains of Oklahoma. There was a voice trying to talk to them. This voice was the first test subject, trying to convince them to bring her back. They called her Mother, and since V heard Mother's voice the clearest, she dedicated herself to leading the Chained Choir to bring her back. Now it's almost 200 years later, and V hasn't really advanced that goal much. I don't know what she's been doing this whole time. Like, Mother's been asking V to bring her back, and V's like, yeah, I'll work on it. I've just been real busy, you know?
I have a condition. I can't go outside.
Now, in 2275, things have changed. V is actually gonna get out of bed and do what she's been putting off for 198 years. The thing is, to bring Mother back, it's gonna require a lot of human sacrifices. So the choir needs to acquire those bodies from nearby groups. You may think that's why she's been putting it off for so long, but remember, this woman has probably mentally enslaved some poor survivor to do her laundry and feed her for the past century, so I think she's just lazy. The first group we're going after is a bunch of ghoul National Guardsmen called the Last Patrol. Our troop quality isn't great because we don't have good tech, but our generals are so broken it might just work. V is the Napoleon of Oklahoma, and we have another general that just casually starts with 8 attack. So whoever made the content for this nation really wants it to be impossible to mess up this country with how strong these generals are, cause I can even add more traits to make them stronger. When I start the war, the AI makes it even easier by trying to be super aggressive and attack me across the river, so when that fails, I can easily push them back. I'm also immediately reminded about my main gripe with this mod, which is all the stupid river crossings. Some are so easy to miss, but the Last Patrol isn't able to take advantage of this hole in my line, and I cut that unit off. It's still a struggle to beat these units with our OP leaders because we're running around with Metro tier weapons, and they have actual guns, but we have enough brainwashed people to overwhelm them. There's a good karma and a bad karma path the choir can go down, which is decided by events like this. Since we were actually working towards bringing Mother back, people started complaining about what we were doing. I guess certain people thought V was joking when she talked about sacrificing thousands to bring this woman back. But V is too socially incompetent to make jokes, or maybe she's just German, who knows. Anyways, we walk towards the Last Patrol's capital and capitulate them, stealing their one canoe too. I have a choice of what to do with the land afterward, and obviously I gotta do everything I can to make Mother happy. So we sacrifice a mere 8,607 people, which does sound like a lot, but you have to remember, they're ghouls, so with some math, it's actually only a couple of people. After this war, we got a lot of V-novel gameplay to get through, so I'll summarize what happens. There's this woman named Celestina who's an empath. She walks old ladies across the street and will send you TikToks about cute kittens because she's just pure and wholesome, but for some reason, she thinks Mother gives off bad vibes. Morgana is the opposite. She only cares about looks and even says that books should be judged by their covers. She's comically bad. I heard she was even in the Capitol on January 6th just to show you what type of person she really is. Anyways, they are having an argument about Mother with Morgana, trying to contain Celestina's heresy, and V steps in to make sure that the people are supporting Mother. The followers of the Apocalypse try to move in, claiming to want to help people, but V knows Mother wouldn't tolerate these anarchists spreading their nonsense, so gotta get rid of them. But for some reason we gotta do these random decisions when we literally have mind control powers. Like, we could just hit them with the mind control beam and tell them to kick rocks, but instead we're just doing some Looney Tunes schemes to make them frustrated and leave. Celestina then complains about us building a factory on a graveyard, but V doesn't care. They're already dead, so what are they gonna do, complain? There was a final complaint about the design of our weapons. Morgana wanted our weapons to look really cool and evil, while this woman Dawn said we should keep it simple to make it easier on the possessed to make. But I'm not sending our possessed out there with guns like this, so I go with Morgana. Soon we had a psychic council meeting where V clarified that the choir was moving forward with bringing Mother back. Celestina was somehow shocked by this and left the meeting in anger. Since she was gonna stand against our mission, we couldn't just let her walk away, so we had to take her out and feed her to Mother. Now, with the doubters gone, it was time to go through the next part of the focus tree, where we need to conquer more land to get the bodies needed for the final ritual. We got this new ability called Mother's Gift, where we can click this button to get a combat bonus for our troops. It was finally time to start playing the game again, by attacking the Painted Rock tribe. It's supposed to be a tough fight, so I'm ready for it. But when it starts, I'm just disappointed, because my simple battle plan is doing everything it needs to. By the end of this war, I'm just sitting there like, I thought you were stronger. V is picking through people of the tribe for candidates to sacrifice for Mother, and ends up selecting a 16-year-old boy to be taken from his family. V has an epiphany, since that is exactly what happened to her. Like, damn, I guess we are the baddies, but she's committed to this bit too much. She has to see it through. V is really not beating the German allegations though, because she seized some defensible land from these poor scrappers in the south, and then used that land to invade the rest of the country. Those poor guys could barely fight us and died within a month. After that war, V is having trouble keeping it together. She goes to a hospital to visit her friend, but gets possessed by Mother to give that friend a low-tier god-level pep talk. But she has to keep it together for one last war against this Native American Confederation. So, like all great leaders, she has a quick mental breakdown and declares war on the Confederation. The initial plan was using my Enforcer divisions to push into Cherokee lands and kill the Confederation from behind, but that plan wasn't happening when I realized I had once again missed a river crossing to guard, and the natives were speed running behind my lines. They quickly cut off 12 divisions from the rest of my country before I even had time to respond. 2 weeks into my special military operation, and I've already lost half an army, and I'm defending my capital. But good thing I mind control most of my soldiers, cause I would have mutinied for a blunder this big. I moved most of my enforcers over to the center to start a counterattack, but there was no way I was saving those cut-off divisions. Fortunately, these were just some mindless drones. The real divisions were making a push towards the strategically vital place of Oklahoma City. As I tried to take the city, I remembered what Mother gave me. I need to use the voice. And when I do it, this happens. Now, I know somebody put a lot of time into drawing these tentacles, but they aren't impressive enough that I need them on my screen for an entire minute while I'm trying to play the game. Actually, wait a second. Why are there even tentacles in the first place? Is V getting grabbed by tentacles when she uses the voice? Like, genuinely confused about this. Anyways, the Native Americans are treating Oklahoma City as their Stalingrad, because I'm trying so hard to take this city, but they keep throwing more bodies into it. I just didn't know how much the city meant to them, because they are doing everything they can to hold on to it. Eventually, I got lucky to the north of the city and finally made a breakthrough. From here, the rest of the Indian defenses only had a short lifespan left. It only took a bit over 5 months of constantly attacking, but I finally took the city in September, and I don't really think this log shows off all the losses, but the casualty ratio is really funny. This had taken so long, I could use the voice again to push all the way to the east. With the voice of Mother inspiring our troops, the enforcers were making great gains, encircling divisions and completely routing the native armies. Despite our initial losses, the casualty ratio was looking really good in our favor. While I'm pushing, I hear the yellow rose of Texas, which means the Republic of Texas is back. Now, this is way too wholesome for Mother to allow, so in time, they're gonna get what they deserve. I have to focus on getting to the river and destroying as many Native American units as possible to cross the rivers. When I was trying to encircle these divisions here, I remembered I could use my one canoe to block the strait and prevent their retreat, which is just funny to imagine. Hundreds of men can't cross this river because 3 guys in a canoe are in the way. Their lines have finally been thinned out enough. I'm able to cross the river in the south to attack the Choctaws' core lands. And with no river crossing to slow me, I'm going all in with taking these tribes down. After a year of fighting, those tribes were finally surrendering. First the Choctaw surrendered, and I could safely battle plan from there. I liberated the land they took from me at the beginning of the war and took out the Chickasaw-Muskogee coalition, leaving just the poor Cherokee by themselves, who I'm sure was regretting every choice that led them to this moment. Now, with all the tribes conquered, we could finally move on to preparing the ritual. Just needed to sacrifice another 30,000 Native Americans to finally do it. But once everything was prepared, we could finally bring Mother back to life. So the gang got together to sing their hearts out to revive Mother, and apparently this woman is hella big, like at least 2 Lady Dimitrescu's tall. But she's actually alive now. V is asked to approach Mother, and she is barely grateful. She's just like, "You've served your purpose now, goodbye." And nobody else in the choir cares. You may think Mother is out of line for this, but remember, she's been waiting 200 years for this because V was getting foot rubs from brainwashed scavengers. I'd kill her too, honestly. So, V is out and putrescent Mother is in. You can tell how much V irritated Mother because she isn't even acknowledging that she ran the choir at all. I'm now in the final part of the focus tree, where the goal is to establish Mother as the dominant power in Texas and get her a new palace in Dallas. One of the nations we're supposed to attack has already been absorbed by the Republic of Texas, so I just have to destroy the last lodge before going in on that republic. One of these days I'll stop missing these river crossings, but today is not that day. I just didn't realize how goated enforcers are as units in this mod. They have a bunch of armor and hardness, which gives them veterancy really quickly. So now they don't even struggle crossing rivers, cause the veterancy experience bonus counters the river crossing penalty. Then I just gotta right click their capital and they're gone. The Republic of Texas should be scary since they have double my industry, but they're also tied up in some war in the south. And I'm not even scared because my enforcers are really busted now. With stats like these, there's nothing the AI can do to stop me. I felt really OP now. Every AI attack I'm just easily able to brush off. I figured I might as well make this easier for me by using the voice. This allowed us to take Dallas very quickly with minimal casualties. So that must have inspired this rat Lanius, who I guess decided was too good for Caesar, to go in for Texas as well. I had to move a lot faster now because I didn't want Lanius taking any of my rightful Texan land. The enforcers can do that job pretty well for me. It's funny how the AI is just incapable of dealing with a simple 20 with template, but I guess that's not completely fair when I just casually have a 10 attack general because we don't care about balance in the wasteland. It does lead to some really funny casualty ratios though. As I close in on the remaining Texan cities, the final ratio is 40,000 Texans to 5,000 possessed. And my casualties are only that high because of the amount of battle planning I was doing. Fortunately, in the peace deal, I'm able to completely stop Lanius from taking any part of Texas. A decision I'm sure he was really happy to hear about. But would you believe it? The dude starts justifying on me out of nowhere. So I gotta get ready for one last war, but I also want to get rid of the cyber warband first because they're just in the way. With control of Dallas, I can finally finish my focus tree. Mother creates her new palace in the remains of the city, and for all the work I did for this woman, what do I get? The most mid-ending ever. She's just like, yeah, this palace is cool and all, but I need to consume more people to stay alive, so gotta keep conquering, I guess. I thought the mod was cooking something for me, but this was nothing. Anyways, my enforcers make short work of the Cypher Warband, and I am ready for the final showdown with Lanius. As soon as he attacks, I realize that the normal infantry aren't gonna cut it against him, so I panic transform this army into all enforcers and hope for the best. Now, I have to apologize to Lanius. I wasn't familiar with his game. His chariots have hands that I wasn't ready for, and I'm regretting underestimating him. I had to be careful on the defense because one little breakthrough is all it takes, and he will exploit that as much as he can. I thought maybe the regular possess could be trusted to guard my flanks, but within a week, my main enforcer army is in danger of being encircled. Then another 2 weeks later, it pretty much happened with my possess getting destroyed. This couldn't be happening to me. I can't lose to the AI, so I was hoping my surrounded enforcers would be able to fight their way out of the encirclement and catch up to Lanius. I plugged up the holes I could and threw out more possess to slow down the rampaging chariots. I don't really get supply in Old World Blues, but I managed to live off the land enough to reconnect those enforcers to the southern supply lines and have them push to cut off Lanius' chariot breakthrough. Eventually, my enforcers managed to backtrack enough to retake all those crossings Lanius took. But even though they were cut off from supplies, the chariots were still able to push. But not fast enough that I couldn't catch up with them. They inflicted some decent losses on us, but it only cost them most of their military. I used the voice one last time and rampaged through the remains of Lanius' army. Once I took his HQ and Castrosol Rubrum, it was pretty much over for him. Lanius soon surrendered, and I went north to deal with the Iron Lions, who was apparently in this war the whole time, but I just never noticed their presence. Guess they were just doing moral support, but that's not gonna save them from Mother, and they were soon brought into the Matriarch's domain. So that's pretty much it for the Chained Choir. It had an interesting start, but the ending of their content was kind of a letdown. I'm really glad Lanius declared on me, at least, to give this campaign a satisfying ending. There is another version of their focus tree where you don't bring back Mother, but I think I'm done with Old World Blues for a while. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like so others will see it too. If you want to see something else you may enjoy, I recently uploaded a RimWorld video because it had a really nice expansion that was very fun to play. Thank you to my alumni on Patreon for funding my apocalyptic campaigns. Support there really helps me focus on the quality of my videos. Anyways, there will be more content coming soon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and I hope to see y'all again soon.